Booger, grab Brooks's mic.
All right.
I think we've got, there should be another mic one of you two are sitting on, I think. Booger, Bill Stetka. All right. I thought we had, oh, here it is.
Well,
Hold on, there we go. Yes.
I was disappointed when Milt got traded too. I mean,
You were good friends with Milt.
yeah, we were good friends and we hung out together and we went to dinner a lot. He was a good guy to hang out with because he picked up a lot of checks. And, I was a young kid. I was like 18 or 19 years old. It was great to have him here and great to hang out with him. But the great question of all time is that would we have won in '66 without Frank Robinson? And if we kept Milt Pappas, do we win in '66? After the trade. And I think maybe, because we were pretty good. Milty was one heck of a pitcher, and we had a really good team. We had some guys that could go out there and play every single day. I mean, we won 95 games the year before in '65. So, and I'm glad that Frank was there. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot easier with Frank there. But I've often wondered, maybe we could have.
You brought that up in the article that Jimmy wrote, that you always wanted.
Jimmy brought it up.
Jimmy brought it up to you, but you answered the question, and you were always intrigued by that thought.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, and we were going along in May of '66, the next year, and Frank hit a home run. Then I hit a home run. We were in Detroit, and Frank said, "Here we go." And then we started 1, 2, and 3 in it, and 3 guys in a row. I was second MVP, Brooksy was third, or I was third, and Frank won it, and we had 3 guys in a row as MVPs. That was quite a year, and the 3 guys in a row driving in 100 runs. That was pretty good. But it makes you wonder, when you go back, if
Let me throw something in
if
there.
Milty would have been there, Milty's probably going to win. He's going to finally win over 20.
Let me throw something in there. Mike Klingman just had a piece in the paper just the other day, and I remember this pretty vividly. '66 was kind of like Brooks and Frank and Brooks and Frank. But from the end of May to August, the big man over there was as good as any of them. And that was when, I think it was just this week, 50 years ago, that the club went in the first place to stay for good. And everybody thought that was the roadway from beginning to end, but it wasn't. It was actually this week, 50 years ago, that team took the lead and stayed in the lead forever. And the big man was on fire.
Remember that week,
I had a
Boo?
lot of help.
I took him out and had a nice talk with him.
I was thinking about this when you guys were talking, when you were talking about Brooksy playing third and Ronnie playing short. I was playing left field back in those days, and for 2 years, I never caught a ground ball. Playing left field, really. They caught everything. Nothing came through.
Now, did that have something to do with Milt? How many ground balls?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Lost my train of thought here. I was going to say, never mind. I'll bring it up in a minute.
All right. Billy, if Bill can pass you, go ahead. Now it came back.
Yeah, it came back now. A lot of people don't realize that Brooksy signs as second baseman, and I signed as a third baseman. So, if you really think about it, I may have not had a major league career if I stayed at third base. But early in my career, shortstop got hurt, who was a pretty good player in the Orioles system, and they switched me to shortstop. And of course, in the next year, I was almost in the big leagues. So I don't know what it was. Maybe you'd have never gotten to the big leagues, or maybe I wouldn't. But I think most likely it was me.
Hey, Brooksy.
Yes, sir.
Up until 1985, from 1954 to 1985, the Orioles had 3 pitching coaches. They all wore number 31. Harry the Cat Burkeen, and then it was George Bamberger, of course, and then Ray Miller for that period of time. Do you remember Harry what he thought of Milt Pappas?
Oh, Harry McKean befriended Paul Richards and became the pitching coach. But, he was able to get through to Milt and look, so all you have to do is just throw like you've been throwing, fastballs, sliders, get ahead, strike guys out, which he did. But Harry McKean was a great pitching coach. And then I played with George Bamberger for a short time out in Vancouver. Ronnie and I were together out there. I just gotten out of the Army, so they sent me out there to get in shape. And Bamberger was pitching then, but he came to Baltimore, and I guess, some pitching coaches get through to some guys and some don't. I mean, look at Arrieta, who was here, but just couldn't, he couldn't do it, that's all. They gave him all the chance that he wanted to be a first-rate pitcher, and never did it. But a change of scenery was all it took. I don't know what they did, but it's all it took. And then we had, who else was in? Bamberger and who?
Bamberger and Harry McKean and Ray Miller.
And Ray Miller, yeah, I knew Ray, and when I was doing the games on television, I'd have a talk with Ray before the game and just ask him a lot of times, what are you going to try to do to so-and-so or this hitter or that hitter, and he'd give me a little inside scoop what they wanted to do. But they were all terrific pitching coaches and had a lot of success.
Billy, you got a chance to work with Milt in the latter years through the Oriole Fantasy Camp and Alumni Affairs. Your thoughts on his place in Baltimore Oriole history and, your remembrances of working with Milt?
Yes, I didn't get to know Milt personally till, I guess about 2009 or so, when we started up the Orioles alumni program. I remember seeing him as a kid, at Memorial Stadium, growing up watching these guys play. I remember one game vividly, a Sunday afternoon game, and I'm pretty sure it was 1964. We had just gotten to the game, and Milt was covering first base against Kansas City, got spiked, had to come out of the game in the first inning. There's more blood on that sock than Kurt Schilling ever saw. Milt still, just to give you some numbers, in club history, in Orioles club history, since 1954, he ranks 4th in shutouts, 6th in complete games, 7th in wins, 8th in games started and in innings pitched. Ronnie mentioned about how he throws strikes all the time. 9 times he ranked in the top 10 in either the American League or the National League for fewest walks per 9 innings pitched. And twice he led the National League after he got traded. He finished with 37 shutouts, which is 37th all time. In the game, not Orioles, 37th all time. Those are some big numbers. You mentioned, 1 win shy of being one of only 10 guys to win 100 games in both leagues. He told me a couple years ago that he certainly did not want to be traded. He actually thought at the end of '65, Steve Barber was lobbying to be traded.
Right.
And wanted out of Baltimore and didn't want to be part of it. And so Milt thought Steve Barber was going to be the guy to go. And he was really disappointed to leave Baltimore. He came back every chance he got, whether it was to see Harriet and Elliott, or whether it was to take part in Oriole programming, or just to come back. He never wavered. He was an Oriole through and through.
Yeah. He ended up in Chicago. I think he liked it over there. He lived there until he passed away. And he called me one day. I'd see him when I go to Chicago every now and then, but he called me about 6 months ago. I think it was 6, could have been a year. But he called me and said, hey, I got a good friend who wants an autographed baseball. And I said, okay, I'll send him one. I'll send you one. So I sent him one. And he had a terrible wreck in a car he had. How long ago was that? Harriet?
It was, I'm gonna say maybe it was 5 years ago.
Really? Okay, 5 years ago. Anyway, he had a terrible wreck, rolled over a couple of times. He's lucky he got out of it alive. And I called him a couple of weeks after that. He didn't get hurt at all. And he didn't want to talk about, he was delivering that baseball to a guy. And when I talked to him, he didn't want to talk about what happened in the wreck. He said, you know what? That state trooper took my damn ball. That's all he wanted to talk about. He stole your ball, you know. He was delivering it to someone.